Good evening. Welcome to the May 6th regular meeting of the Ossining Village Board of Trustees. This meeting is now called to order, and we will begin with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wait for the crippled guy to stand up.
Trustee DeRoyo?
I'm present.
Trustee Herrera?
Present.
Trustee Codman?
Present.
Trustee Quezada?
Present.
And Mayor Garrity.
Present.
Do we have any mayors and trustees announcements this evening?
We sure do. With the spring season very much in full swing now, our calendars are starting to fill up. There are lots of exciting things happening. And we have just recently linked on our village website a community calendar. So I encourage you, if you haven't already checked it out, there's a community calendar. It's, I believe the link is down at the bottom of the home page right now. And on that calendar is events that are being added by your municipalities, the village and the town, the school district, the Chamber of Commerce, the documentary and discussion series items are on there. And so there's, we're trying to make it easier for people to make sure that you know all that is happening, so you can fill your calendar with great events in our community. One thing that is actually going to be ending soon, we are in our final weeks of the Solarize Ossining Briarcliff program. So if you are thinking about getting solar on your residential or commercial property, I very much encourage you to very quickly go online to Solarize Ossining Briarcliff, find out about the program. They will be hosting office hours, Solarize office hours in the Ossining Public Library next Thursday, the 14th of May, where you can sit down with one of the specialists from the selected installer here in Ossining for residential, and you can get all of your questions answered and move that process forward. And that same night, downstairs in the theater, the Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series is screening a film called Food Chains. As you ate your dinner tonight, or your lunch or breakfast, there was hopefully lots of healthy fruits and vegetables on your plate, and you probably don't know where they came from unless your garden is up and running faster than mine. You might be really horrified or upset to learn some of where your food is coming from, and this movie will enlighten us, and it will be followed by a very engaging panel discussion. So please join us. That's ossiningdocumentaries.org if you want to check it out online, and that is again next Thursday, May 14th, 6:30 at the Bedars Theater in the Ossining Public Library. And with that, I invite my colleagues on the board. Who else has announcements to share?
Yes.
I figured you would.
Good evening. So let's start in order. Okay, so this Saturday, as you all know, is Dash to Trash, which is coordinated by our Ossining Parks and Recreation Department. It's an annual event that I'm pretty sure has been going on, I'm going to be wrong, but for over 10 years, definitely, at least. And it's being held from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon to view all of the supply pickup sites. You can call the rec center at 941-3189. Will be hosting a cleanup site at the intersection of Spring and Main. By the Christmas tree will be our meetup spot, and we'll go up and down Spring Street. We have a couple of families and students that have already committed, and so far one store owner, which is a good first step. So I encourage you. We'll be there beginning at 8:30, and we're going to conclude at 10 since it's a busy day. Special thanks to the town, village, and Superintendent Chris DeWoy for coordinating this year's event. On May 16th, there's going to be a benefit car wash brought to you by Ossining Rotary for Bob Nolan of AAA Nolan Auto. As you know, he had a unfortunate incident at his shop where his roof collapsed, and it's a fundraiser being done by Ossining Rotary on May 16th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you could meet some staff and cheerleaders of the Westchester Knicks. Matthew Galata made sure that I had to tell everyone that. And all proceeds will be going to the Nolan family and the shop. And then lastly...
Wait a minute, where is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. AAA Nolan's Auto is 2 Havel Street. Okay. And the last announcement is my office hours for this month will be on May 21st from 9 to 10:30 at Picante Cafe on Main Street. That's all. Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else? No? Okay, we'll move on to administrative reports, and we will begin with interim village manager Christina Papes.
Okay, my report will be very brief because it's actually just kind of going over what is some of the things on the agenda. We have two really exciting projects that are officially kicking off, although the board has been interested in working on these for some time, but these are this tonight signifies the true beginning of the projects, and that's our LED light conversion, and the second one is the Spring Street 2A. So we're really happy to get moving with that, and what the board knows and what the department head certainly knows, before it gets to this point, there's a tremendous amount of work that happens on our end, but as the public sees it, I think they think this is the true kickoff, but we are very excited to move forward with these projects, and that's all I have.
We'll move on to Corporation Counsel, Lori Lee Dixon.
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
I just wanted to remind folks that we are starting in earnest with our yard sale and tag sale season here in the village, and I just want to remind people that we do have a sign ordinance, and it requires that you, within 24 hours of your event, please be mindful of your neighbors and remove the signs that you placed in the wonderful locations at most of the intersections. So if you wouldn't mind returning to where you placed the signs and to remove them, that would be to everyone's benefit. So thank you for that. I also wanted to discuss a couple of items on your agenda this evening. At about 5:15, 5:30 this evening, I received a call from Albany, and there is a need to table item G on your agenda. There was a glitch with some processing and procedure at the assembly. The bill didn't go live, which is required in order for them to assign the bill number. So although we all know the bill number, it would be probably best if we tabled this for 2 weeks to your next agenda so we can be certain that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. We'd hate to have to get this back and take it up again at some point in the future. So I would recommend tabling item G from your agenda just for 2 weeks until we can be sure the Assembly has had a chance to assign the bill number that we anticipate coming tomorrow. So
I trust that there's no urgency.
no, there is no urgency. We can't act without the home rule message, and we can't take the home rule message until they've assigned a bill number. So we're all in a holding pattern, and everybody did what they needed to do, and I think it was a glitch in the system, actually. So.
That's fine. It's just that we're taking this action because they asked us to. So I just wanted to make sure there weren't going to be any repercussions that we now were delaying it for 2 weeks because they didn't get their ducks in a row. So
Yes, and they had put some amendment language in which assists us. So it's probably to our benefit that they're taking this long up in Albany, because I think it will assist us in not having to take 2 or 3 or 4 more steps after this. Everything will be included in this this legislation. As you know, the Urban Renewal Agency was formed by an act of the legislature in 1964, and it's a statutorily based organization. So in order for it to be dissolved, the state legislature has to actually remove the statute from the books, and that has to be done by legislations of both houses. So this will allow us to get started with the process, but it'll just delay it for 2 weeks. Okay. And I did, based upon some last-minute conversation and some information received, I do recommend that we make some revisions, minor revisions to item C, the Lumen Light Solutions LLC. We did receive some follow-up information on the Dark Skies. Correct me if I'm wrong. The organization that sent us some additional information, is it called Dark Skies? They're the not-for-profit that reviews the adequacy of LED lighting and light pollution, and so the last-minute addition of that may necessitate some changes to your specifications. So when you're ready to move forward on that resolution this evening, I can suggest some clarification language so you can still move forward. This authorizes you to accept the proposal, and the proposal is for the provision of lights the servicing, maintenance of lights, the inventorying of your existing lighting, and also the monitoring of the energy, so you can then take the benefit by also getting the savings in your electricity. So it's the agreement actually allows you to lease back, and it pays for the value and the cost of the services. So when you're ready to take up item C, we can make some revisions, and you can take a motion on a revised resolution. But that's what I have for you this evening. Thank you.
We'll move on to Police Chief Joseph Burt.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'd like to read a proclamation signed by President John F. Kennedy dated October 1st, 1962. To pay tribute to the law enforcement officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and to voice our appreciation for all those who currently serve on the front lines of the battle against crime, Congress, by a joint resolution approved October 1st, 1962, has authorized and requested the President to designate May 15th of each year as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as National Police Week, and by public law has requested that the flags be flown at half-staff on Peace Officers Memorial Day. In recognition of this week, the Ossining Police will be holding a memorial and award ceremony on Wednesday, May 13th at 6 p.m., so you can get to your work session with plenty of time, at this meeting room, and the public is invited to attend. And on Thursday, May 14th at 12 noon at the County Center, the Journal News, through the cooperation of the County Police, will be also holding a memorial and award ceremony. Five of our officers will be receiving awards in this event. Detective Lieutenant William Sullivan, Detective Sergeant Jeff Giorgio, Detective Don Farrell, along with FBI Special Agent Brendan Kenny, will be honored for their investigation of a homicide. Police Officers Pasquale Santucci and Police Officer Javier De Jesus will be receiving an award for life-saving. Thank you.
Thank you. We are very excited about all that. Thank you.
Move on to organizational announcements. Not seeing anyone. Not seeing anyone from Village Board. We'll move right into our resolutions. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the April 15th, 2015 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
On the board, Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated May 6th, 2015, the amount of $751,292.20. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board?
Yeah, I got something.
Okay.
I got to ask Paul. I'm so glad you're here. I understand that we're working really, really hard to calm traffic, but I saw a bill for the speed bump spikes. Isn't that going a little overboard? I'm just saying.
Go ahead. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, he's serious.
I don't know the exact cost, but I'm sure it was nominal and an incidental purchase. It was the spikes that are used to hold down the speed bumps in the 16 Croton Avenue Municipal Building. They go in and out every year because we don't leave it there in the winter because of plowing operations, and when we want to put it back in, we needed to buy some new spikes to do so.
So the spikes aren't exposed.
Yeah,
They're internal.
I thought you were saying driving too fast. There go your tires.
No.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution C. I will let Corporation Counsel read that as she has made some corrections
Yes.
or amendments.
Yes, I have made some amendments. Resolved that the village manager of the Village of Ossining is hereby authorized to accept a proposal from Lumen Light Solutions, LLC, 969 Midland Avenue, Yonkers, New York, 10704, and execute an agreement with a total value not to exceed $735,000 for professional services in connection with the audit, inventory, installation, and lease of LED lighting, having specifications that are satisfactory to the Village Board of Trustees, and the monitoring of energy savings, subject to the review and approval of said agreement by Corporation Counsel. with the cost of said services to be funded from the energy savings realized by the village.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board, I just want to clarify for the public, that $735,000 is a very big number, which is especially exciting because we're going to have that much work done in the village, and it's not something that we have to pay for upfront. The payment for this LED lighting program that we're putting in place is going to be paid by the savings that we'll be realizing going forward once the new lights are in place. Correct? Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm not misspeaking on any of this because this is a really big investment that we're making, and it's something that, as interim village manager Christina Papes had indicated before, has been worked on by village personnel for over a year, and we're very excited to really be moving forward with this now. So.
The only thing I would mention is that, as I indicated at the last work session, we do want to be mindful of LED lights, although they have a huge savings in terms of electrical usage. There is scientific and anecdotal information with regards to the brightness of the lights and them having some impact on biological events, and so we want to be mindful of the environment, biology, and be sensitive to that. That's why I asked that we some language in this resolution so that we do get more of the science in our hands and we do understand what the Kelvin power is going to be of the lights that we install.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Whereas the Village of Ossining ceased being a tax assessing unit in 1999 and now adopts the Town of Ossining assessment roll as prepared by the assessor of the Town of Ossining for all subsequent years, and whereas certain tax certiorari proceedings were instituted against the Town of Ossining by Verizon New York, Inc., and said proceedings with index numbers 234-2909, 250-3010, 150-4511, 668-4612, 656-3413, and 671-8114 were recently concluded in the Westchester County Supreme Court, resulting in a judgment entered in favor of the petitioner, which, among other things, directs the Village of Ossining to audit and pay the amount of overpayment of real estate taxes determined in accordance with the assessment fixed and determined by said judgment as detailed in Schedule A. And whereas any and all refunds of taxes necessitated by said judgment is to be made without interest if paid within 60 days after service upon the village of a certified copy of said judgment. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining, upon certification by the village treasurer that all of the aforesaid taxes have been paid according to the real property having the identification section 89.19, block 4, lots 42 and 44, hereby authorizes and directs the village treasurer to make the payment of $54,221.10, representing the refund of real property taxes due to Griffin, Coogan, Selzer, and Horrigan PC as attorneys for Verizon New York, Inc., as required by said judgment, and is further resolved that the village treasurer shall make a notation in the margin of the assessment rolls of the Village of Ossining that said assessments were reduced and payment of a refund of overpayment of real property taxes was made pursuant to said judgment. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $550,000 bonds of the Village of Ossining, Westchester County, New York, to pay the cost of certain judgments, compromise claims, or settled claims resulting from court orders on proceedings brought pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law due and payable in the current fiscal year of said village. Be it resolved by the affirmative vote of not less than 2/3 of the total voting strength, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining, Westchester County, New York, as follows. Section 1. For the object or purpose of paying the cost of certain judgments, compromise claims or settled claims resulting from court orders on proceedings brought pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law, due and payable in the current fiscal year of the Village of Austin, Westchester County, New York, including incidental expenses in connection therewith, there are hereby authorized to be issued up to $550,000 bonds of said village pursuant to the provisions of the local finance law. Section 2. The maximum estimated cost of the aforesaid class of objects or purposes is $550,000, and the plan for the financing thereof shall be by the issuance of $550,000 bonds of said village herein. Such bonds are to be payable from amounts which shall annually be levied on all the taxable real property in said village, and the faith and credit of said village of Austin, Westchester County, New York, are hereby pledged for the payment of said bonds and the interest thereon. Section 3. It is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of the aforesaid project or purpose is 10 years, pursuant to subdivisions 33A of paragraph A of section 11 of the local finance law. It is hereby further determined that the maximum maturity of the serial bonds herein authorized will exceed 5 years. Section 8. This resolution shall constitute a statement of official intent for purposes of Treasury Regulations, Section 1.150-2. Other than as specified in this resolution, no monies are or are reasonably expected to be reserved, allocated on a long-term basis, or otherwise set aside with respect to the permanent funding of the object or purpose described herein. Section 9. This resolution takes effect immediately and shall be published in the summary form in the official newspaper of said village for such purpose, together with a notice of the village clerk in substantially the form provided in Section 81 of the local finance law. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board.
The roll call vote, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Scratch that.
No,
Trustee
still for
Dorado?
second.
Aye.
Trustee Herrera?
Aye.
Trustee Codman?
Aye.
Trustee Cazada?
Aye.
And Mayor Garrity?
Aye.
Thank you.
It's unanimous.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossing hereby authorizes the village manager to execute an agreement to extend the indexed lump sum municipal snow and ice agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation, 85 Route 100, Katona, New York, for a period of 1 year through and including June 30th, 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board?
I
Madam,
have
yeah.
a question. How much did we spend last year? Oh. That's what this is, right?
This is a reimbursement.
If
no.
you
This
have
is-
anything
this
to
is-
contribute, Paul, you're welcome
This
to
is
address
because
it.
we actually maintain roads that we're entitled to get reimbursed for.
So this is for reimbursement?
Yes, this is, they establish a rate, correct me if I'm wrong, they establish a rate each time we enter into one of these agreements, and
They
then,
pay us,
So
which is
they're
rare.
giving us money back for snow and ice removal, is that?
Yes.
But since we have Paul here, could Paul Frioli, village engineer, just speak to this? Thank you.
Hello again. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a reimbursement of our maintenance primarily for snow and ice for State Road Route 9. And every year they make a cost index adjustment based on the economy, what it does to the unit price, specifically of salt that we buy from the OGS services. And this of an additional 35 or 36,000, I think, that they gave us this year, on top of the 100,000 plus or minus to maintain that road every year. So it really offsets the labor and the materials for that road, and then some. So it works out nicely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, am I correct in assuming that we are tabling Resolution G?
yes.
Correct, thank you.
May I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
On the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby calls for a public hearing to take place at the Birdsall Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street in Ossining, on May 20th, 2015 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard, to consider the matter of introductory local law number 2, 2015, entitled Code Revisions to Make Permanent Change in Traffic Pattern, Speed and Parking on Spring Street, a local law revising Chapter 250, Vehicles and Traffic of the Village Code of the Village of Ossining to codify the pilot program accommodating two-way traffic on Spring Street between St. Paul's Place and Main Street and to lower the speed limit. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Okay, on the board? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this was, the two-way change on Spring Street was something that had been part of the comprehensive plan and that we talked about for many years. We've been in a pilot program for over a year now. And I think it's safe to say that it has been a change that's not been without some difficulties and without some concerns from citizens. This particular motion is going to have a public hearing on the 20th. Is that correct?
This is to open the public hearing,
Yeah,
to
so-
allow the public
right,
comments
so-
to come into
so,
the record.
My feeling is that I hope that we will be able to hear from as many in the public as possible about this change, experimented with for this year plus time. I don't think it's perfect now, and I've said publicly that I have some real concerns about it. But I think it is an important change in the traffic patterns of our village. I think it has important impacts to business and general life in the village. I think there are things that we can do and change, but I'm not the only person with an opinion, and I want to hear other people talk about this. This is a very important change we are making to our traffic pattern in our, the center of our village.
Trustee Herrera?
Yes, I just wanted to say that this is a great opportunity for everyone who's expressed their ideas, their concerns, their perspective on the change and how we came up with it to really come on May 20th, correct? At 7:30. And I'll be working with our board and our attorney and village manager to come up with a notice and post it everywhere, mail it everywhere that we can, organizations. I feel that most public hearings that have a direct impact on the quality of life and, especially down there, for us to make sure that we have equitable, opportunity and perspectives that come here. A lot of people are for this, a lot of people are against this, but it's really a chance for us to see how we could move forward. The overall initiative and project I am supportive of. We do have to look at the many issues that have occurred there, and the current many challenges that we have there right now. But this is an opportunity for you to come and speak to us and for us to work together and move forward. I just wanted to say that.
Trustee Dwyer, you seem to be nodding. Would you like to speak?
Well, I want to say this. It works really well as a two-way street, but some folks have concern that 4 cars don't fit abreast in that space. It's a physics problem. I get that. And that perhaps we need to remove some parking spaces in order to accommodate. On the other hand, there's a parking problem in Ossining. So we need to discuss it. You need to show up. If you can't show up, call or email. If you can't get hold of someone at the village, call me. 914-774-2646 is my cell. bdarayo@yahoo.com is my home email, in addition to darayo@villageofossining.org. I'm eminently available. What we don't want to have happen is people come up afterwards and say, why did you do this? It was a terrible idea. And my response becomes, well, you should have said something. So you have a myriad of ways to express your opinion. Please use them. We can't do this by ourselves. We need your input.
Quick question. For those who can't attend, they could send statements?
They can send written statements, but I don't believe it's this board's intention to actually close the hearing that night. I believe
perfect.
that this was the start of the process. And since the engineer is also going to be set to task this evening to begin the process of doing the inventory down there as well, I think that this is the intention, to open the hearing and to keep it open and to reconvene to a date certain and to continue the dialogue. I think it's important. As a result of the work session, I want to point out that the local law, which will be uploaded and hard copies provided and distributed tomorrow morning after your after your vote this evening, does reflect the additional reduction in the speed limit for the length of that road, for the length of that portion of the road, and also it does reflect an established loading zone. So those will be on there, and those will be available for public comment as well. That was as a result of your work session.
Thanks, Lori Lee.
I'll specifically email this out to you as well as the clerk and the planner and also the police department, so everyone will have copies and we can start the.
Will it be visible to the community online as well?
Yep. It gets uploaded immediately. Craig is away, but he gets somehow he works his magic because he's
Virtually
Good.
here.
he's
Immediately is
he's
my
listening
favorite.
and watching this evening as we speak.
Creepy.
Thanks.
Okay.
I wanted to add something to that, and I echo what the board has expressed. Without the communications between the public and us, the engagement is nothing we can accomplish that will be the best for the village. That being said, we are also in a process that we are engaging a firm, a traffic engineering firm that will help us guide to this event, to what we're trying to accomplish with the two-way street. That being said, if we don't have any ideas or recommendations to them because of feedback that we get from the public, it's very hard for us to come up with a sort of like a master plan in a way. So we need the public information. We need the public input. Like we had a very successful work session 3 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks
it was
ago.
April 22nd.
2 weeks ago
watch
when they came up with, we had additional questions to them, and this forum is going to open up a couple more questions. We have received a couple emails, and I believe within each other we had either people have stopped us on the street or phone calls have been made. So there's a couple more additional questions that I think as a board we have that we can incorporate that, but we definitely need the village because it does affect the village as a whole. So please be involved.
My colleagues have stated many of the points to be made on this, so I'll just summarize and say, yes, we have started hearing from community members, and I look forward to hearing from more community members in 2 weeks at the May 20th meeting in person. We are hearing your concerns, and while we are unified in our belief that it will overall be beneficial to the community to have this traffic be two-way on Spring Street, we are very aware that there are concerns about the safety, particularly of pedestrians in the area. And so some of the things that will be looked at is how can we make it safer for people who are pedestrians, particularly in that area? Does there need to be changes to where there's parking, or do there need to be changes to any signage? So there's a lot to consider, and the public input is very helpful in making sure that we are being very thoughtful and thorough in our considerations before moving forward. And I look forward to being able to provide some guidance for the engineers that we have engaged to help us in this process. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the Village Board of the Village of Ossining hereby accepts a proposal for professional services in connection with proposed roadway improvements to facilitate the revised traffic pattern on Spring Street from Macer Consulting, PA, of 11 Bradhurst Avenue, Hawthorne, New York, dated February 13th, 2015, and authorizes the village manager to enter into an agreement subject to review and approval by Corporation Council for phased implementation of the enumerated scope of services in said proposal totaling $43,550 with immediate authorization to complete phases 1.0 and 2.0 for topographical surveying and underground utility markout for a total not to exceed $8,400. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board, and I'll just reiterate, this is what allows us to move forward with those engineers, helping us really create the plan for how to do this in a smart way. On the board?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolve the following capital project is established to account for project costs associated with planned Spring Street and Main Street capital improvements with a transfer of $43,550 from the general fund contingency account at this time to pay for engineering consulting services in connection with a proposal from Acer Consulting, PA, as follows. Increased capital project appropriation, account number 505-5410, 2160 Spring Street, Main Street capital improvements, 2015, $43,550. Increased capital projects estimated revenues, account number 505-05-05-5031-0160, interfund transfer from general fund, $43,550. Decreased general fund appropriation, account number 001-1990-0400, contingency, $43,550. Increased general fund appropriations, account number 001-9550-0850, transfer to capital projects fund, $43,550. Project number 2160, capital project name, Spring Street, Main Street Capital Improvements 2015, for $43,550. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
And thank you to Treasurer Tom Warren for keeping all of our accounting in order so that we can move forward with this smoothly. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas the Downtown Development Fund Council was established by agreement between the Village of Ossining and the developer of the Waterfront Harbor Square project to be the council charged with overseeing the Downtown Development Fund in support of redevelopment projects in the downtown area, and whereas there are currently vacancies on the Downtown Development Fund Council, said vacancies having occurred upon the agreement of the parties to increase the potential membership from 3 to 5 members, with the village having the ability to appoint 4 members and the remaining member to be appointed by the aforementioned developer. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby establishes the regular term of membership on Downtown Development Fund Council as 2 years, with initial appointments to be made in such a way to permit the staggering of terms going forward. And be it further resolved that the following individuals are hereby appointed to terms as members of the Downtown Committee, with such terms to commence immediately and with expirations as set forth below. Andrew Kaplan, 6/30/2016. Peter Joslo, 6/30/2016. Latanya Russell Humes, 6/30/2017. And John Zeltzman, June 30th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And I'll just thank everyone who has expressed interest in participating in village government in this manner. We are very pleased to have 3 new names joining this council. Latanya Russell Humes has served on this council since its inception, I believe, and Andrew Kaplan, Peter Joslo, and John Zeltzman will be joining now. Any other comments from my colleagues?
Yes, this is exciting. The board has increased the amount of members to this council, and this year they haven't met yet, but now that we have made our appointments, I know that our downtown manager, along with the developer, will be scheduling a meeting soon, and as a liaison to the board to that particular committee, I look forward to keeping you in the loop every step of the way, and hopefully as we develop an action plan.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the village manager is authorized to execute an amendment to an agreement with Malcolm Perney, Inc., the Water Division of Arcadis, 44 South Broadway, 15th floor, White Plains, New York, for an amount not to exceed $25,300 for additional professional services involving required New York DEC inspections and water quality monitoring in support of the Indian Brook Reservoir Dam Rehabilitation Project, subject to the review and approval of said agreement by Corporation Council, said project having been delayed by the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant funding process through no fault of the village. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board?
Yeah, President asked about this before. So I guess I just want to understand why we're, because there was a FEMA hazard funding process?
We've made an application for a grant. We haven't
Okay.
received a decision.
We were
this
supposed
was
to
a-
get grant money? And
Well, this is a $4 million plus project,
Right,
and you've
sure.
authorized bonding for that. But
Okay.
instead of going ahead and spending the money, we apply. When we understood there was money available through the FEMA grant process, they made the application. They haven't received a decision on that grant yet. So,
Okay,
in order to keep current on the reporting necessary on the condition of the dam and the spillway, and also to continue with water monitoring, we had to extend the term of an agreement with Arcadis that you had already,
Right.
yeah.
we
So
already
Andy
have.
came to
But there's
me.
still an opportunity that the FEMA money.
Correct.
Okay.
No problem, yeah.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the village manager is authorized to execute an agreement with Old Structures Engineering, P.C., Donald Friedman, Principal, 111 Broadway, 14th floor, New York, New York, for an amount not to exceed $2,500 for professional services involving the investigation and assessment of the building known as the Brandon Pill Factory located at 36 Water Street, Austin, New York, subject to the review and approval of said agreement by Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That completes your resolutions for this evening. Do we have any continuing business of the board?
No, ma'am.
Do we have any new business of the board?
We do not.
Might we then move into visitor recognition? Do we have anybody who would like to address the board?
Okay.
Come up and talk some more.
I will also acknowledge that one of our very recent appointees to the Downtown Economic Development Council, John Zelsman, is here with us. Thank you very much for joining us. You have expressed interest in being able to serve the village in this way for quite some time, and I'm very pleased to make it happen this evening. And I would just also point out there's, I believe, no H in John's first name. Correct?
It's just J-O-N? We will make that correction. I'm sorry.
All right.
We will then move to an adjournment for executive session for personnel for specific individual. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
On the board? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, thank you very much for joining us for this May 6th regular meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. I hope you will join us next week for the work session, which will be held at 16 Croton Avenue, Village Hall, at 7:30 on May 13th. Thank you. Have a great week. Thank you very much.